Is entrepreneurship the best way to escape poverty? I think it is the best sustainable way to escape poverty. Entrepreneurs usually flock towards the developed countries, and here it's the most innovative countries. In other words, the most precious value of a country. Innovative entrepreneurs vanish away, leaving the country with people looking for a job until there are no more jobs. The highly prosperous countries like Germany, South Korea, Vietnam, China, California, create such a gravitational pull that they need ever more specialists and self-driven people, that they grow in prosperity above average. If we can find ways to keep the top entrepreneurs in their home country, they not only create jobs but more importantly they inspire others to do something similar. Key components, however, are an open-minded culture, a government that is publicly supportive to innovation and entrepreneurship, ideally a free market-oriented economy, and absolutely key is a general education in entrepreneurship, investment and economics. Poor people, even in the most developed nations, show all the same pattern. They spend more than they earn, and they spend it on totally non-essential things. To the contrary, those who learned very early to invest, usually develop a wealth level above their regular income value. Understanding the economic value mechanics also allow them to better play within the economy and begin to accelerate in their career. That very mechanic actually is the foundation of a pan-societal prosperity. You can see that in emerging countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, Uruguay, Chile, Poland and many others, but also the contrary behavior and results in most African countries. An especially interesting yet sad example is Nigeria, where the tech boom in Lagos is theoretically driving the needle to prosperity upwards, yet it is one of the poorest countries in the world. There is basically no education other than reading and writing. One aspect to take in consideration is that poverty is not an absolute but a relative state of existence. A person in Peru who has a water toilet, a heater in their house, a car, internet access is far richer than King Louis XIV of France in the 1600s. An unskilled worker in Germany is far richer than a bank manager in Ghana. That said, poverty will never vanish away. 1. There will always be nations that develop so much faster than others that there is a huge relative delta. 2. Some countries are under extreme governments with a huge level of corruption. They will just not make it to the top anytime soon, or falling behind all of a sudden. 3. There are nations where their overall evolutionary cycle is far behind. They will probably need to go through some more cycles to catch up. But what we can do is helping those who have the willpower to escape poverty by supporting them, building the best environment to prosper and become an inspiration to others. Micro. On the micro level? Oh, my goodness, no. I just advised a guy who has been stumbling about on his own for over a decade to close his small business and go work for someone else. He just doesn't have the characteristics to scope out new areas, to take a deep breath and ideate, to select a scary new idea and try it out, to inspire customers and suppliers to try something new, to work it hard until it works or fails, and if it fails, to welcome the failure and let it lead him to his next iteration. Yet, when he has his work scoped out for him, and there is someone else who is bringing in customers and worried about all the various, niggling aspects of the business, he functions pretty well. He's a good employee, but a lousy entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a pretty unusual fellow. So most people will not be able to do what he does. That doesn't mean that you're not an entrepreneur, that you can't attach yourself to such a fellow, and let him scope out your work for you. Let him fill in all the areas that no one else is thinking of or wants to deal with. Let him take on the burden of success or failure. Let him pay you while he may, or may not, get anything. There are secretaries and engineers who became very rich because the entrepreneur they latched onto was successful, but they do not really have the characteristics of entrepreneur. They are more lucky, or perhaps good at choosing a leader. At the bottom, I'll offer a couple of things that might help you decide how much of an entrepreneur you are. Blank, underscore, blank, macro. At the macro level, absolutely. To become wealthy, a society needs entrepreneurship way more than practically anything else. Unhindered by bureaucrats, entrepreneurs will find new ways to segment customers, to understand how current alternatives do not meet some segment's combination of needs, to brainstorm 1,001 different new ways to meet those needs, to coordinate new suppliers and new processes and new support systems to provide a new service, to convince customers to take a risk on something new and unproven which might serve them better, to have the gonads to barge uninvited into an industry, break it, and then refashion it to better serve the world. The more entrepreneurs in the society, reshaping the old into the new and better, the faster the society will create loads of new wealth, and the more abundant that society becomes. Blank, blank, are you an entrepreneur? But most people are not entrepreneurs. You might be an entrepreneur if you don't mind failure. To you, failure, well dissected, is just the necessary information to build your next design. You don't mind getting 19 no's for one yes. You listen to what people tell you and are willing to change, rather than insist on what you think you know. You don't care what job you do, as long as it moves the project along. You can focus on the most important job to get the long-term goal, and don't sweat the rest. You can see a far different future than what currently is, and you can inspire others with that vision. You think everything, including yourself, can be improved, and that such improvement is necessary for a good life and a better world. The one thing you're sure of is that tomorrow doesn't look like what today looks like, and you're willing to be the one to create that tomorrow. You play win-win, finding unexpected, new ways for all constituencies to win. The old bores you to tears. You act. Why blab about something when you can try it out? When something new is suggested, you come up with ways to improve it even more, rather than listing what might go wrong. A routine should be tried one time, and then improved. You love making detailed plans, yet you abandon them quickly as facts on the ground suggest new opportunities. When someone tells you why something has to be like X, you instantly see tens of ways that it could be different. You've rarely met an assumption that you didn't question. As soon as you get the first product out, you already have a list of hundreds of improvements. You see yourself as just a current version, something that you will be improving in your next version. Tomorrow. You have little tolerance for tradition or authority, effectiveness is your keyword. You don't care where improvements come from, only whether they work. You use people's have to as an indicator of where the gold might be. You are not intimidated at going at large or entrenched. To you, those are simply signs of sloth and old assumptions. You are willing to sacrifice your today for a much better future tomorrow. You don't mind working 70 to 80 hours. Weekends, vacations, what better time to be working on your business? You get obsessed with an idea and can stick with it for years. You don't distract yourself with multiple goals that change all the time. You can structure, prioritize, and focus your time, and the jobs that need to be done, and other people's contributions yourself. Money is primarily a feedback mechanism. Ideas, not trappings, are the signs of success.